Good day, everyone. I am Abu Michael, the online tutor, physics, maths, and electronics. In today's episode, I'll be looking at sword. Well, I did not say sword, SWORD. I actually said SURDS, swords. So I'll be referring to swords. Now, sword technically or basically refers to numbers with a square root symbol over them, e.g., square root of 2. I think this is very simple. When you see square root of 2, that's sword, square root of 5, maybe square root of 11, even square root of 20. We can look at it as sword. Or in summary, we can also say it is referring to irrational numbers. Yeah, sword will be referring to irrational numbers. Now, sword has rules that guide them, so I will just itemize the rules, then we can start. Now, I'll give a simple example. Say I have square root of x times square root of y. I can write this whole expression as square root of xy. Now, it's more like a reversible thing where if I have a square root of xy, I can also reverse it as square root of x times square root of y. So let's say, for example, I have square root of 2 times square root of 3. This whole expression can be written as square root of 2 times 3, which is square root of 6. And if I have, say, square root of 5 times square root of 10, I can write this whole thing as square root of 11. Sorry, square root of 50. I don't know why 11 came to my heart. I must be thinking of 11. All right, so it's square root of 50. Simple, right? Now, let's see. If I have, say, square root of 12, I can actually split this into 2. I can write it as square root of 4 times square root of 3, because 4 and 3 are factors of 12. I can write it as square root of 6 times square root of 2, because 6 and 2 are factors of 12 also. Well, these are the two possible ways I can write them. Now, if you are writing it as square root of 12 times square root of 1, is like repeating what you have just said. So, the simpler version of square root of 12 will be square root of 4 times square root of 3 and square root of 6 times square root of 2. I believe this is clear. So, that's the first rule of sword. Now, the second rule of sword will go like this. If I have a square root of x all over a square root of y, it's like having an individual square root for x divided by an individual square root for y. So that would mean that if I have a square root of maybe 5 divided by square root of 3, for example, I can write it as square root of 5 separately divided by square root of 3 separately. That's simple enough. Okay, so that will be rule number 2. Rule number 3, I will take it from the first one. Let's say I have, for example, square root of x times square root of x. Well, the rule of sword says I can write this as x. Now, if you remember rule 1, where I said square root of x times square root of y, I can put all of them in a single square root and write it as square root of xy. Now, if I apply that rule for this question or this rule, I can just write this whole thing as square root of x times x. Now, square root of x times x will be square root of x squared. And you and I know in maths, the square root of x squared should be x. So the rule of sword, just jump from here to this place. So that's about it. Now, these are basically what sword is. I will show you what sword is not. Well, if I have a square root of x plus a square root of y, I cannot write it as this. Please observe what I said. I said I cannot write it as this. This will be wrong. This will be so wrong. It will be so wrong. Now also, if the symbol here is minus, I cannot also write this as a square root of x minus y. That will be so wrong also. So I'll take it again. So wrong. So we basically have three rules of sort that we use in addressing sort. I've given the first rule, I've given the second rule, and I've given the third rule, and I've shown you what sort is not. So many times that not, you may be asked to simplify a simple sort. E.g., you might be asked to simplify. Let me start with something very simple so that you can follow. Square root of 8, for example. I might be asked to simplify this. Now, from the first rule, I can actually break it as square root of 4 times square root of 2. Now, you and I know that 4 is a perfect square. Square root of 4 will be 2. Then I'll just attach the rule 2 to it, so my answer becomes 2 root 2. So square root of 8 can be simplified as 2 square root of 2 or 2 root 2. Maybe from this time forward, I'll be using root 2 to mean square root of 2. Okay, we can take another simple one. Let's say I take 32, for example. Square root of 32 can be written as square root of 16 times square root of 2. Now, 16 is also a perfect square, so square root of 16 is 4, then root 2. Now, it's possible that some people may not easily see a square root in a given expression, and you may do something like this. So I'll use 32 as my case study again. Let's say for square root of 32, what came to your heart was 8 times 4. Well, 8 times 4 are 2 factors of 32, and I can write it like this. Now 4 is a perfect square. Now 8 can be simplified further. So if I simplify 8 further, it will be square root of 2 times square root of 4. That will give me square root of 8. Then if I bring this other square root of 4 down, I'll be having this. Now if I remember the third rule, square root of 4 times square root of 4 should give me a 4 times root 2. Now please, if when you are solving sort and you come expressions like this, your answer will not be root 2 times root 2 4. Now this would be a wrong way of writing it. What you should write should be the number first before the expression in the square root. So we write 4 first before root 2. Very, very simple. So again, whether we do it like we did it the first time or you do it like we did it the second time, you'll be getting a 4 root 2. So it appears that if you want to simplify sort, you should just try and look for a square root expression in the sort if it has. So 50, for example, I'll be looking for the highest perfect square in 50 that is a factor of 50. Now, if you look very well, 50, the highest factor of 50, the highest square root or the highest perfect square in 50, that is a factor of 50, will be 25, right? So for this question, if I want to answer it, it will be square root of 25 times square root of 2. But please do not forget, I can also write this as square root of 25 times 2. Now the square root of 25 is 5. Now since 2 is not a perfect square, I will leave it in the square root symbol. So it will be 5 root 2. I've given 3 examples, and I'm sure, or 4 examples, these examples are enough to buttress this point of simplification. Now let me see what you guys will do with this one. Try it yourself. What if you are asked to do square root of 150? How will you go about it? I'll give you some time to think this through. You have a couple of ways of doing it, but like I said, look for the perfect square you can find in 150. Then it will make your work kind of easier. The highest perfect square you can see. All right. I'll give you 10 seconds to think that through, after which we will do it together. Your time starts now. Ding. Ding again. I think you should be true by now. Now, looking at 150, obviously you should have 25 in 6 plus 6 times 6. Now, 25 is the highest perfect square. That is a factor of 150. So this will give me 5. Then my root 6 will be that. Now, it's possible that maybe you didn't see 25 quickly in your analysis. Maybe what came to your heart while when you saw 150 was 15 times 10. That's okay. If 15 times 10 is what came to your heart, then just go ahead with solving 15 times 10, except that it's going to take a longer time to finish. So square root of 15 times square root of 10, this will be square root of 3 times square root of 5, that is 15. This will be for 10, square root of 5 times square root of 2. Now I can apply the rule here. For this one, I can apply the rule square root of 5 times square root of 5. This will be 5 times, okay? Now remember, we have to take the number before the expression in short form. So 5 comes out first, and square root of 3 and square root of 2. Using the first principle, I can put them under a single square root and I have square root of 6. So our answer still is square root of 6. All right, on your own, you can try and put the answer in the comment section to show that you have an understanding of what I just said. So I'll be giving you 3 different simplifications to do. Just put your comments, your answer in the comment section so that I will know that you have good understanding. After this, I'll be checking out something else. Before we finish this part of sword, I'll be taking them in stages until I'm done. I don't want you to read and read until you get tired of reading. So 5, 10, 15 minutes class, that should do it. Okay? All right. So guys, check this out. Now, by yourself, why don't you simplify square root of 72, square root of 288, and square root of 147? I would like to see your answer in the comment section very, very quickly. Thank you, guys. I'll take something else. Now, it's possible that you might want to reverse a sword, e.g., when we did square root of 50, we got 5 root 2. Now, it's possible that you might want to express 5 root 2 as, a single sword. More like we want to reverse it back to square root of 50. That will be easy. So if you want to do that, the process is simple. You take out a big square root, put the 5 back in the square root, but this time add a square on it, then times 2. Okay, so 5 squared is 25. 25 times 2 is 50. So we have, again, our sword square root of 50. I'll take another one for clarification. Let's say I have 3 root 2, for example, and I want to express this as a single sword. I will open a big square root, I write 3, I square it, then this 2 that is here, I'll bring it down. It will be square root of 18. Maybe we should just take one more for clarification again. Guys, one more. Now let's say I have 4 root 6. Now for 4 root 6, I will have a big square root, 4 squared times 6. That will be square root of 16 times 6. Now guys, what's 16 times 6? I'm doing a quick one here. I guess that will be 96, right? I think I'm correct, 96. I just checked. 6 times 6 is 36. No, I just checked a quick one. That's the answer. I just checked with my brain. Yeah, it's a simple sum. 16 times 6, 96. So our answer will be square root of 96. I believe you can do this now. Very, very simple. If you have to express a sword in its sword in a single form, this is exactly how you go about it. Very, very simple. In my next class, hopefully, or maybe I just quickly take it addition and subtraction.